Chinese vessels enter two more PH Island waters. Manila, Philippines. After swarming Pag-asa in the Kalayaan Island Group, Chinese vessels believed to be part of China's maritime militia have been seen close to two other Philippine-occupied islands in the South China Sea. Some of the Chinese ships and boats were spotted as close as 1 kilometer off Kota, Loaita, and Panata, Loaita Cay, about 24 kilometers south of Pag-asa, Thitu Island, the biggest of 9 islands and shoals occupied by Filipinos in the Spratly Island chain, according to U.S.-based think tank Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, Amti. Satellite images collected on March 12, 2016, and 29, and April 7 confirmed the presence of Chinese vessels in the area, most of which show every indication of belonging to the maritime militia, Amti reported on Tuesday. In almost every instance, the vessels are riding at anchor, many in large clusters, and without fishing gear, in the water, it noted. Coercive objectives. The government has protested against the presence of at least 275 Chinese vessels, mostly from China's maritime militia, during the first 3 months of the year close to Pag-asa and 3 sandbars near the island, where the military was working to rehabilitate its facilities. In a statement in early April, the Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA, said the presence of Chinese vessels in large numbers and for sustained and recurring periods, what is commonly referred to as warning, passes raised questions and concerns about their intent and their role in support of coercive objectives. Amti noted that the presence of China's maritime militia was apparently aimed at dissuading Manila from continuing modest infrastructure upgrades on Thitu, Pagasa. On Tuesday, it reported that some of the vessels were only 1 kilometer off Panata, considerably closer than Amti has ever seen militia vessels approach another country's facility before. This must be particularly provocative for the Philippine detachment on the Cay, who likely rely on frequent resupply and relief from those on Loaita Island, it said. It noted that Panata has been erroneously called Lankiam Cay in Philippine maps. One satellite photo showed a 50-meter Chinese fishing trawler near Kota on March 12. 4 days later, there were 8. By March 29, at least 15 large Chinese fishing vessels and 8 small boats were seen. Not engaged in trawling. Some of the vessels were just 3.7 kilometers off Kota, but most were right around Panata, Amti said. None were engaged in trawling or appeared to have fishing gear deployed, it said. Vice Admiral Rene Medina, chief of the Western Command, confirmed the presence of Chinese vessels around the two islands. They moved from one place to another, Medina told reporters on Tuesday. The DFA has not commented on the latest reported presence of the Chinese vessels near the two Philippine-occupied islands. Diplomatic protest. Manila has launched a diplomatic protest with Beijing against alleged Chinese poachers who had harvested endangered giant plants and destroyed corals at Panatag Shoal, a traditional Philippine fishing ground 230 kilometers west of Zambales province that were seized by Chinese forces in 2012. The Chinese government is not protecting Chinese fishermen who just happen to swarm their information, okay? That's militia and poachers acting in unison. Serious. We're not stupid or blind, he tweeted on Wednesday. Manila was waiting for Beijing's response to the protest against the harvesting of the giant clams, according to presidential spokesperson Salvador Tainlo. Perhaps if they will not respond to that affirmatively, then we have to do something more aggressive which may provoke, as I said, armed hostilities, he said in an interview on ABS-10. He said the Philippines did not want any armed conflict with China and negotiations were still the best option to resolve the maritime dispute. We can still talk this over. We can tell them, stop doing that, he said. Otherwise, we will be forced at the risk of an armed conflict, even if minimal, he added. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.